Riley is a secondary school senior beginning her most memorable day at another school alongside her dad, Chris, the school's freshest English instructor. During his most memorable example, Chris grabs the eye of both Tricia, a famous young lady, and Kyla, Lucy Loken, the school's yearbook photographic artist. After class, Kyla becomes friends with Riley, who uncovers she is Chris' little girl, and requests to approach her home for a review meeting. At her home, Riley educates Kyla concerning her mom's disloyalty which prompted her folks' separation. That evening, Kyla dreams of Chris and becomes charmed by him. The following day, Tricia becomes friends with Riley, maddening Kyla. She cautions Riley that Tricia is hazardous and claims she has a background marked by playing with instructors, as she had laid down with a set of experiences educator the earlier year. Sometime thereafter, Kyla's mom, Jess, is getting ready for a date, which is uncovered to be Chris. As she watches them be a tease, Kyla becomes desirous and disrupts their date, compelling Chris to go through the evening, and permitting Kyla to draw nearer to him. The next morning at school, Kyla defies Riley about going out with Tricia notwithstanding her admonition, and tells her she's being utilized by Tricia to get to her dad. Riley tells her that Tricia claims it wasn't her who had laid down with their set of experiences educator, yet Kyla herself. Kyla denies the allegation and Riley leaves. Afterward, Kyla faces Tricia, compromising her to let Riley be, however Tricia will not withdraw. The following day, Kyla, having filled her storage with obscene photographs she had taken of herself the prior night, tells Chris she is being irritated, and he vows to assist with finding whoever is mindful. Kyla and Riley ultimately offer to set things straight, and Kyla admits to having laid down with her set of experiences educator, guaranteeing he had controlled her. Sometime thereafter as Chris and Jess plan for a date, Kyla, acting like Tricia, sends physically intriguing messages to Chris' telephone. Jess, accepting Chris is having intercourse with one of his understudy, tosses him out. As Chris sits in his truck, Kyla enters and lures him into kissing her. The next day, police show up and remove Tricia, having found the telephone used to message Chris the physically interesting messages, as well as containing the lustful photographs of Kyla, in her storage. That evening at Riley's birthday celebration, Kyla enters Chris' office at his home lastly allures him into engaging in sexual relations with her. Riley finds them, and takes off upset. The following morning Jess faces Chris, having been informed everything by Riley. As she removes Kyla, Kyla denies any bad behavior, as she is of lawful age and cases Chris and her are infatuated. Chris apologizes to Riley and tells her he won't see Kyla any longer, and Riley excuses him. The following day, Kyla calls Tricia and requests to meet her before school. At the point when Tricia shows up, Kyla owns up to outlining her, and damages herself by breaking her fingers. As Riley and Chris show up, Kyla weeps for help, guaranteeing Tricia went after her. Tricia is captured and Kyla goes to the medical clinic. There, Riley tells Kyla her relationship with her dad is finished, and Kyla seems to concur. She requests that Riley assume control over her yearbook responsibilities regarding a b-ball game that evening, which Riley hesitantly acknowledges. At the point when Riley leaves, Kyla tells Chris they can at long last be along with Tricia out of the picture, yet Chris denies her, telling her their relationship is finished and to let him be. Kyla proclaims she won't ever leave Chris, and reminds him he should see her ordinarily in class. Chris chooses to leave his place of employment to move away from her, and passes on to assemble his assets from the homeroom. Kyla takes a surgical tool from the emergency clinic and escapes. At school that night, Kyla defies Riley, pronouncing only one of them can be a major part of Chris' life, and wounds her in the stomach. Advancing toward Chris' group, she holds the surgical blade to his throat, letting him know they are intended to be together, and furthermore uncovering she was the one that had controlled her past educator, not the other way around. Chris pushes Kyla off him, yet she trips him, making him hit his head, delivering him oblivious. A janitor hears the disturbance, and coincidentally finds Kyla, who professes to be harmed and requests that he find support. As the janitor races to track down help, Riley, alive however gravely injured, cautions him to run, yet Kyla wounds and kills him. The two start to battle, and Riley in the end beats Kyla into accommodation. As police show up, both Riley and Kyla are removed in isolated ambulances. Some time later, Riley is leaving for her most memorable day of school. As she expresses farewell to her dad, concealed by both of them, a hooded figure watches them from far off.